Right now on News Channel 6 at 7, a preview of the topics that matter to you planned for debate at the 2023 Georgia legislative session, set to begin next week. And federal judges in South Carolina have officially ordered the first congressional district to be redrawn. What this means for voters in the Palmetto State.
So what are you going to do with that $940 million?
900, probably run away, not talk to anyone for like a year. No.
Also tonight, a new year, a new massive lottery jackpot up for grabs. The Mega Millions frenzy soaring to all new heights. Your News at 7 starts now.
Live from Television Park, this is WJBF News Channel 6 at 7.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. You're watching News Channel 6 at 7. I'm Tiffany Hobbs. Coverage you can count on begins with the one-year anniversary shooting death of Aubrey Anthony. Anthony was killed in a drive-by shooting in January of last year. She was just 8 years old when she was caught in the crossfire of gang violence. Since then, her family says much has happened. Now they want to remember her life.
She didn't have no fear about anything. She did anything. She was full of love, full of laughter. She liked to play. She liked TikTok. She loved her family.
5 suspects were arrested in this case. Aubrey's family will do a balloon release on Sunday for the anniversary of her death. 18 years ago today, a deadly train crashed in Graniteville, South Carolina. On January 6, 2005, a Norfolk Southern train ran into another train already on the track, spilling chlorine. 9 people died. At least 250 were treated for chlorine exposure. More than 5,000 people were evacuated.
And then the boom, the vibration actually knocked you out of bed if you wasn't holding on. Got up immediately, didn't know what was going on, and in about 30 seconds, the neighbors in front of me were blowing the car horns trying to get their daughter-in-law out.
2 memorials in the town honor the victims. Time now for a first look at our weather with Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller.
And Tiffany, we're going to start tonight by taking a look outside over into Aiken, where it is a beautiful sight. We're probably seeing the last few moments of the Christmas tree. I'm sure they're going to be turning it off and putting it away, darn it, because it looks so nice for sure. But a beautiful night through the alleyway, looking really, really fine outside. Take a look at our high temperature today, 62 degrees. That's a couple degrees above the average of 59. Started out this morning at 33, so yeah, maybe a little bit below the average, but all in all, a really nice day, no doubt about that. Temperature, though, 44 already at Bush Field, 53 in Waynesboro. So tonight, as the sun is set on this beautiful day, if you're outside tonight, certainly grab a coat. Notice the winds relatively light from the west, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Satellite view shows clear skies. I mean, absolutely gorgeous all across the two-state. Looking nice as well with just wonderful conditions. Water vapor loop, all the brown or orange you see, that's dry air, and we're still relatively dry, but we have a little bit more moisture headed our way, so that's why we've had a few little old clouds that have rolled on in tonight, but other than that, no biggie. 34, the overnight low again for tonight. We'll see clear skies, so rather chilly coming up for tomorrow morning. The big story, of course, tomorrow, Border Bowl, and the forecast is going to be great. 56 at kickoff, halftime at 58. So it's just a great afternoon for football. We'll top out in Grovetown at about 60 degrees tomorrow. So sun and clouds really for the weekend. We're going to throw a shower chance, though, into the mix now for Sunday. Coming up, I'm going to talk about that. I'll show you hour by hour what to expect for the weekend and the chance of these showers as well in just a few minutes. Tiffany?
Thank you, Tim. On Monday, Georgia lawmakers will meet at the state capitol to kick off the 2023 legislative session. Atlanta Bureau Chief Archis Seshadri shares what you can expect.
For 40 legislative days, state lawmakers will propose bills and ratify a budget focusing on key areas like education, the economy, and elections.
I think having gone through several years of very tense, very expensive runoff elections, it would not surprise me at all if the General Assembly does have a conversation about how we change our process and do we go to instant runoff voting.
With the continued uptick in violent crimes, then I think public safety is going to get a lion's share of the attention during this session. Of course, the continuation focus on education, and even though our revenues have been up, we have to figure out a way to continue being as successful as we are.
State lawmakers say casino gambling, mental health funding, and how to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic will become priorities this year.
Within that budget, of course, we're going to talk about healthcare. I mean, that's a major issue that's not just here in the state of Georgia, but across the nation.
You may also get money back from the state. Governor Kemp says you could get anywhere from $250 to $500 in tax credits and pay about $500 less in property taxes if you are a homeowner in Georgia. Reporting in Atlanta, Archit Seshadri, Atlanta Bureau Chief.
A federal court has thrown out the newly drawn 1st congressional district in South Carolina. The seat Congresswoman Nancy Mace won this past November will likely look different for the 3rd straight election when the seat is back up for election in 2024. The panel of judges ruled the boundaries of the district were redrawn by the General Assembly to intentionally disadvantage black voters. The seat, which has long elected Republicans, was changed after Democrat Joe Cunningham had it in 2020.
You now have voters that found themselves in a new district 2 years ago who very well might be able to find themselves in a new district 2 years from now. It's confusing for a lot of voters, but at the end of the day, though, the judges found and they ruled certainly that the lines that the state legislature drew and adopted didn't, in fact, meet certain thresholds or standards.
The ruling requires the state to redraw the map by the end of March and prohibits any elections before a new map is approved. The district covers much of the Low Country along South Carolina's coast. Governor Henry McMaster unveils his executive budget for the upcoming fiscal year in South Carolina. The state is expected to have a $3.8 billion surplus this year. With some of that money, the governor is asking the General Assembly to raise teacher minimum salaries by $2,500. He's also proposing a bonus for educators and using $850 million to speed up Department of Transportation projects.
To look not just to tomorrow, not just to next year, but where will we be in 100 years? We have an opportunity now, the way the economy is going, the way our state is growing in the right ways, to set a course that will be beneficial for generations.
The governor also wants to use $78 million to recruit, retain, and increase pay for state employees. President Joe Biden signs a law to protect the safety of riders on ride-sharing apps Uber and Lyft. Sammis Law is named after the University of South Carolina student Samantha Josephson, who was tragically killed in 2019 after getting into a car that she thought was her Uber. This new law requires the Government Accountability Office to submit reports detailing assaults involving drivers and passengers of rideshare vehicles. Big developments in the fight against Alzheimer's. Today, the Food and Drug Administration approves a new drug. The drug is called lecanemab. It's the first drug that's been convincingly shown to slow the decline in memory and thinking. Research trials show it slowed cognitive decline in patients by 27%. It's approved for people with early stage Alzheimer's.
We're seeing for the first time results of some large studies that are really assessing how overall taking care of your general health could potentially reduce cognitive decline as you age. And I think that is unprecedented.
It does carry some risks like brain swelling and bleeding, but studies suggest it is more promising than other Alzheimer's drugs on the market. Tonight could be your lucky night. The Mega Millions jackpot is inching closer to $1 billion. The sixth largest Mega Millions jackpot in history is up for grabs. $940 million is at stake. This drawing comes just 2 months after the largest Powerball jackpot was won at more than $2 billion. If you match all 5 numbers and the Mega Ball and take the cash option, you could land about $483 million. And speaking of the lottery,
Happy Friday, Georgia. I'm John Crow with your Cash 3, Cash 4 Georgia 5 evening drawings. Hey, players, go online and play Georgia Lottery Digi Games. Over 50 fun digital games to choose from, and you can even play some of your other favorite lottery games. Go to playdigi.com and play now. All right, moving on to Cash 3. Your first winning number is 2. That's followed by 8, and your final winning number is 3. Again, if you have numbers 2, 8, and 3, congratulations. On to Cash 4 now. Here we go. Let's win you some money. Your first winning number is 0. That's followed by 5. Up next, we have 6. And your final winning number is 4. Again, if you have numbers 0, 5, 6, and 4 in any winning combination, you did win some money. On to Georgia 5. Here we go. Your first winning number is 7. That's followed by 3. Up next, we have 6. Your next number is 2, and your final winning number is 5. Again, those Georgia 5 numbers are 7, 3, 6, 2, and 5. Good luck in Play On, Georgia.
It has been 2 years since the insurrection by a mob at the U.S. Capitol. President Biden marked the anniversary with medals to some who defended the building that day. Biden awarded 14 people with the Presidential Citizens Medal, one of the country's highest civilian honors. The recipients include law enforcement who defended the Capitol and state and local officials who rejected the pressure to overturn the 2020 election results. Sandra Garza, the longtime partner of deceased Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, has a lawsuit against the former president, Donald Trump, and the men charged with assaulting Sicknick and the insurrection. The lawsuit seeks $10 million in damages from Trump and an additional $10 million from each of the 2 men convicted in connection with the assault. House Republicans are still fighting over who will become the next speaker. Kevin McCarthy has been able to flip the votes of more than a dozen colleagues. Here's Jesse Tenor.
And now we have to finish for the American public.
GOP leader Kevin McCarthy gained momentum when the House reconvened Friday for the 4th day of its speaker spectacle. McCarthy opponents like South Carolina's Ralph Norman flipped their votes.
We think we would be here had we not felt confident in what was going forward.
Pennsylvania's Scott Perry said McCarthy agreed to their demands for changing House rules to give rank and file members more power.
We have the framework of an agreement that allows us to keep moving forward in good faith to that end so that this place works for the American people.
But Florida's Matt Gaetz made it clear he would never accept a Speaker McCarthy.
He will not have the votes next week, next month, next year.
Other Republicans, like Alabama's Dale Strong, supported McCarthy from the beginning.
The last thing we need is someone, the Speaker, that doesn't want to be the Speaker.
Without a Speaker, the chamber cannot swear in new members, organize committees, or consider legislation. It also prevents lawmakers from setting up offices in their home districts and receiving important intelligence briefings. Democrats, like New York's Dan Goldman, said the dysfunction previews the House's next 2 years with a Republican majority.
They can't even get their act together to figure out a leader.
And the White House downplayed lawmakers' national security concerns today, saying if something were to happen, the administration does have the power to loop them in. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
now, your most accurate forecast with WJBF Live 5 for 6.
It's the battle for the paddle. We're talking about Border Bowl 10. Gosh, already 10:30 tomorrow morning. Gates open. Game starts at noon. Grovetown High School is where it's at, and you don't want to miss this. I mean, this is kids from both sides of the river battling out, and it's a lot of fun, and it's going to be some great weather for it too. Saturday and Sunday, right out of the chute here, we'll get right to our forecast. 62 Saturday, 62 on Sunday. Notice it's dry Saturday, but I'll throw in a rain chance for Sunday at 20%, but that really won't be until Sunday night mostly. It's a nice weekend headed our way. A shower again late on Sunday. Typical winter temperatures for us. More clouds start to roll in as we get into next week. Clouds actually starting to roll in tonight. These clouds certainly are rain-free. It's awfully dry outside, but it made the sky look pretty for an absolutely gorgeous sunset all across the southeast. It's looking fine thanks to high pressure that sits over Mobile, Alabama, keeping us really nice. And tomorrow, again, another beauty of a day, frankly. Not so much is where it's California is. This is where all the rain is. They caught a break today, but more rain starts to move in tonight. And frankly, it's going to be with them for the next several days to come. This is going to be the big news event. We have an upper level system, basically the jet stream bringing in all of these rain events. Now, it's the rainy season for the Pacific Northwest and all the way down to California, but rainy season or not, this is a lot of rain here. 7+ inches of rain from San Francisco down to Los Angeles and all the way in the mountains, maybe up to 6 feet of snow. Nothing like that for here at home. It is beautiful. Tonight, 11 o'clock is Futurecast showing the clear skies. Just a few high clouds start to roll on in. That is Saturday morning. Saturday night looks to be fine as well. Notice, though, the rain starts to develop out here towards the west. This rain will actually move up towards the Ohio Valley, the bulk of the rain. As the whole system moves east, we'll start to increase our clouds and then a chance of showers late on Sunday. So tomorrow's fine. But tomorrow morning and afternoon, this system develops well out towards our west. Notice it's eking its way towards us. Once we get into Sunday afternoon, clouds increase, and by Sunday evening, a shower or two. So tomorrow's fine. Let's jump into Futurecast Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Here come the clouds, and notice the rain sort of holds off till late, so that's pretty good. I think much of Sunday dry. 10 o'clock or so, we'll start to see some showers in our northern viewing area, and then by about midnight, these showers will move on through. Again, these are showers, not expecting anything like we saw the other day. And then this moves off towards the east, towards Columbia, and then we're done with the rain. Tonight, 34 overnight low. Really nice night. Rather chilly, though. 37 in Aiken, 37 down in Swainsboro. Tomorrow, we'll see 62 for the high, 60 Aiken, a good swath of upper 50s up near the lake. And again, that's pretty much where we should be. Going golfing, hole-in-one forecast tomorrow on the links as we'll enjoy a really, really nice day. Again, those temperatures around 60 degrees or so. There's our 10-day Viper Alert forecast. Well, 60s, that's going to be great. We'll take that the middle of January. Next decent rain chance comes on next Friday. We'll keep that rain chance at about 40% and then cooler for next weekend.
I think I'm going to spend some time outside this weekend.
Yes, enjoy that vitamin D. Let it soak in.
Oh, yes, let it soak in. All right, coming up, we take a look at the Bulldog quarterback's career before becoming a national champion. There is nothing like getting a little bit of love from your hometown. No one loves UGA quarterback Stetson Bennett more than Blackshear, Georgia. That's just outside of Waycross. Corey Howard is taking a look back at Bennett's career.
If you get out a map and look at the southeast region of Georgia, you'll probably notice a small city called Blackshear. It's one filled with pride and friendly faces. And like most people in the Peach State, they love their bulldogs. But there's one dog that holds a special place in their heart.
So excited to celebrate our hometown hero and our Pierce County Bear.
That's Stetson Bennett, a Blackshear native and Pierce County alum. During Bennett's senior season at Pierce County, he threw for 3,724 yards, rushed for 490, and totaled 40 touchdowns.
We watched him in high school, our Pierce County Bears, and that boy can play ball. He's got a heart. He puts his all into it.
His heart led him to UGA, where he walked onto the team in 2017. He would later transfer to Jones County College in Ellisville, Mississippi in 2018. Then he would finally come back home to UGA for good in 2019.
Some people could probably argue that maybe we didn't make the right decision in the first game, and maybe he should have been the guy, but not only was he not the guy, he wasn't, he was not getting a lot of reps early in camp. And to his credit, the reps he got, he took a lot of value in.
Bennett's breakout game would come in 2021 against UAB, when he tied the university record for most touchdowns thrown in a single game with 5.
Am I trying to play some kind of savior by winning a national championship for millions of people? No, I don't think that's my job.
He probably felt like that back then in December of 2021. But contrary to Bennett's statement, the Dogs did win the national championship, and his hometown praised him for it.
I love these guys. And then, the tears afterwards, that just hit me. I hadn't cried in, years, but it just came over me.
Georgia Bulldogs, the quarterback, Blackshear, Georgia. What a story that is.
And the story doesn't stop there. Bennett and the Dogs have a chance to repeat as national champions on Monday when they play TCU. A win would solidify UGA's perfect season and put them in the history books as the first team to repeat as national champions during the playoff era. All this led by a kid straight out of Blackshear, Georgia.
News Channel 6 is proud to once again bring you this year's Border Bowl. And there are plenty of tickets still available to watch the best high school players in the CSRA battle for the paddle and bragging rights on who has the better squad. The game is tomorrow at noon at Grovetown High School. If you want to get tickets, go to WJBF.com and search Border Bowl tickets or scan the QR code on your screen. And be sure to tune in tonight at 7:30 p.m. right here on News Channel 6 for a very special Border Bowl preview from John Hart and Ashley Brown. When Major League coaches throw batting practice, they do it from behind a protective screen. Maybe this dad should invest in one. Tyler was tossing a wiffle ball to 5-year-old Beckett when the young slugger smashed one right back into Dad's face. Their Ring camera caught the shot. Tyler wasn't hurt and laughed at the misfortune. Beckett's first words were, "Sorry, Daddy," followed by, "I love you." Warning to the coaches in Beckett's pitch league. Yeah, y'all need to watch out for him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We took out his dad. You're next,
Yeah.
whoever, right? Oh my. Hey, we have a great day for wiffle ball or border bowl ball, maybe. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, not looking bad at all. 62 degrees coming in for Saturday, 62 for Sunday. Notice the rain chance in on that Sunday forecast, but that really won't be till late. Temperature about 62 again for the high and a 20% chance of rain. Obviously, I'm done talking for the rest of the night.
Yeah, you rest that voice. We will see you again at 10 on MeTV. We're always with you at WJBF.com. Stay with us. Our Border Bowl preview special is next.